So good morning and welcome to another interview by Project Cargo Weekly. And our special guest of honor today is Mr. Stéphane Baninet, General Manager of CMA CGM Head Office Marseille for special and OOG cargoes. First of all, welcome, Stéphane.
Welcome. Thanks both for for today. Thanks to everyone, and I wish to thank you giving me the opportunity to share my experience and views and CMA CGM positioning in the project cargo segment.
Well, you are one of the major players, and I know you several years. So CMA cannot be one that cannot be interviewed for XXL and for cargoes in general. So anyway, just to start off in my usual manner, I always ask my interviewees to give a little bit background about themselves so that our viewers and readers and listeners can get to know them. How did you get into shipping, Stéphane, and how did you end up where you are now, please?
Yeah, thanks. Well, I'm 48 years old. As a study, I'm postgraduated with a first-class merchant marine officer. I have been sailing on board a tanker and gas carrier, mainly for Shell, even though it has been short. Then I've been postgraduated in maritime law and transport, and thereafter graduated of a maritime MBA done in part-time while working with CMA CGM. Then from a professional experience, well, I joined CMA at that time in 1999 as ship manager. At that time, we were receiving, I remember, the 4,000 TEUs class vessels, Ville de Tania, Ville d'Antares. So 20 years ago, we were only at the 4,000 TEUs ship, now at above 23,000. So somehow my past 20 years with CMA CGM Group has been a mix between operational and commercial roles on various trade lanes. Recently, I was reviewing and counted 9 different jobs and roles I had. During those 20 years, it turned out that I enjoyed particularly working within the North-South trades like the Africa, the Latin America, the Caribbean, and Oceania, still having a sense of adventure. Our daily work being affected by so many factors, which you always have to adjust immediately. And we had still also commercial niches to explore. I remember about Zanzibar and El Tablazo in Venezuela as new port calls that we opened. It has been and it's still a rewarding experience working with every corner of the globe. Every day brings a new challenge that I'm always inspired to approach. And I'm presently positioned as head of the CMA CGM Project Cargo Division since 2017.
Okay. And it's when did CMA CGM actually start as a project cargo carrier? I mean, of course, flat racks and OOG is normal today, but let's say taking break bulk cargoes by container ship, you were one of the pioneers on that, I believe. When did you start this special segment?
For the OOG and the break bulk start, I will say that we had several milestones. First, the various group brands, CMA, CGM Port, APL had already their own experiences shipping oversized cargo, including conventional and RoRo. So basically, we are talking about decades ago. For instance, I read recently that in 1985, CGM, at that time CGM, launched a specialized department for turnkey project named Special Project. And at that time, CGM was also operating conventional vessels. Then closer to us in 2007 at CMA CGM, we start organizing ourselves with dedicated project cargo pricers and experts in each respective business units, what we name the lines, the trades, be the Asia-Europe, Asia-Med, the Latin America, the US trades. But all those people were disseminated still in the lines. And more recently, early 2017, we have empowered a dedicated department, namely the Project Cargo Division, pulling our dedicated resource that I just mentioned into a centralized organization. So it's an expert team of technical and commercial project cargo manager. And since that they might listen to me, I can say that they are very creative, persistent, resourceful, and even passionate people.
Okay, that's good to hear. Yes, because I think moving break bulk cargo by a container ship, and a container ship is, of course, or no ship is made of rubber. So so you need a good planning, right? And
Right.
I recall from my younger days in shipping that you do have very good ship planners, and you are able to work around a certain project if you have the full cargo details. And normally you come up with a solution. So I believe your name is very good out there. How do you see in CMA CGM, since you have several brand names? Of course, ANL is well known, APL is well known as part of CMA. Your own brand, you also have services around the globe. Do you basically accept break bulk and project cargoes on almost any trade lane, or where is the major business running at the moment?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. That first and foremost, and I will highlight the fact that our key advantages while containerizing project cargo is the ability and the agility offering multiple port pairs. Today, the group is present on every continent in above 160 countries with a huge networks of offices and warehouses. We are operating 285 shipping lines with above 530 vessels covering over 420 ports. So then, thanks to that network and including our capabilities to transship oversize and heavy lift cargo, one transshipment, even two transshipments, we are able to ship break bulk and OG on all trades and almost all the ports that I mentioned, 400 ports. Wow. So obviously some trades and regions are obviously generating more volumes than others, but still there is no trade, no region that we are not shipping project cargo volumes. And year on year, almost all areas are enjoying a fair growth.
Okay. So it's become also let's say a high value target for CMA Group. I mean, they are also, you have a focus inside the group for this particular segment at the moment, don't you? Or since some years now?
Yeah, as I mentioned, as you have understood, and we have invested into resources, into competencies. So I said earlier, we do have a dedicated a comprehensive organization with a head office, with regional desk, plus numerous dedicated local sales. So we have also a large special equipment fleet, open top, flat track. So yes, indeed, the focus and diversification from our core business is there.
Okay.
The organization, the project cargo division organization is straightforward. We do have project cargo managers, we have pricers, we have key account managers, project cargo engineers. We have a tender desk to better cover the market and better serve the customer. So it's about 30% in the head office, 30 additional headcounts in the regional offices dedicated to the project cargo, plus again the dedicated project cargo sales worldwide.
Okay. Then another question, as you know, a lot of things are changing at the moment. Some ship owners wants to be also freight forwarders. Some freight forwarders wants to be ship owners. All the, let's say, traditional lines, so to speak, have been a little bit blurred. How is the CMA CGM group stance on working with freight forwarders and customers? You accept bookings from anyone, and you treat anyone let's say neutrally and fairly if they come to you, don't you?
Yeah, rightfully. Our customers are obviously are let's say the standard one that we know. They are coming from the IFF, the big IFF, having a strong network worldwide. They are the smaller one or the medium-sized customers dedicated to the project cargoes. But there are also the one that we name the 1+1. Such as your own network, Bo, and they are involved in all industrial segments, be the oil and gas, the renewable, the rail, or the yachting business. So yes, basically we treat all of them equally, and what we also tend to say between ourselves is that. Time to time, and it's very amazing that the 1+1, what we name the 1+1, they have amazing shipment, amazing project in hands that time to time we don't believe it, but rightfully they are having very interesting projects. So yes, we give a fair treatment to everyone and the same treatment.
That's I think that's very good to hear, because you know nowadays big is of course beautiful, but sometimes when you are a smaller company and and you come to the big shipping line and you need a quote, it's very important that you are well treated, you know, whether you are 10 staffs or 200 staff. So it's good to hear that you have that policy. May I ask also, CMA CGM, as is normal in the trade, you are also part of an alliance. Which alliance do you belong to at the moment?
Since 2017, CMA CGM, we are together with COSCO Shipping, Evergreen, and OOCL, and we are partnering within the Ocean Alliance on the East-West trades mainly, and it's an alliance with above 333 container ships. 1/3 is operated by CMA CGM Group. So we keep on playing a major role in that alliance. It's about 39 services, and it's having a capacity of above 4 million TEUs.
Okay, that's very impressive in the world nowadays. One thing that stands to mind, since you are basically a French carrier, French, let's say France and French influence in Africa, which I believe, and many with me, that is the, let's say, the last region where there's still development to be made, so to speak. How is your focus on Africa trade? You're quite strong there, I believe, with CMA, also for Project Cargo, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. We are from all the origin, I would say, from Asia. We ship a lot of, particularly the out of gauge, but also from Middle East, from Europe, from Med, from Brazil. But Africa is not that easy because of the port infrastructure are limited, because also there is a fierce competition, for instance, from North Europe on the conventional and on the RoRo. So it's not that easy for ourselves. Also from Asia and from China, there is a lot of Chinese conventional carriers shipping the bulk of those volume from our views, which is rather complicated to get in. But yes, as I mentioned earlier, we are on all the trades, and all the trades enjoy fair growth year on year. Even for some are generating more opportunities and volumes, but all are on our radar and again enjoying fair growth.
Right, but Stefan, it must be a fantastic voyage for you. I mean, it has grown so much also under your leadership in CMA, the breakbulk cargo. How do you see, let's say, for example, if a customer comes to you, he has one breakbulk piece, and then he has a range of containers. I guess the advantage is with using container fleet is that you have normally multiple sailings. It's not like once a month like the breakbulk carriers. You have more or less every week one sailing. That's the big chance for you, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. This is our key advantages. The key advantages are very related to our core model. With the service setup, we are offering alternative options to the traditional specialized carrier. And thanks to as you mentioned, we are offering regular and reliable sailings with high frequency, fast transit times, global coverage, as I mentioned, 420 ports. Mm-hmm. And at a reasonable transport cost. We are also, it's not only diversifying our portfolio or business opportunity, but it's the ability offering all-in-one offer to some customers while talking a large project where most of the cargo is already loaded into containers. So we are able to offer to the customers not only the container side, but also the out of gauge and the breakbulk for the same project.
Okay, it's no, I certainly know from my young days in when I was head of Martin Bencher, and also later on I've heard from the market that CMA CGM is certainly one of the major players for breakbulk cargo, if not the major one. It's on certain trade lanes, so you have a good name there. And I recall, as I also mentioned earlier, that you have good port captains and ship planners that are capable at their job finding a solution. I think that's the whole key. How do you see the future here? We are all under this very irritating pandemic now. Has that influenced your business, or is it actually happy days for the shipping now?
Yes, indeed, it's happy days. It's not that easy, obviously, but I do not see the future for the coming, let's say, for the coming months or 2 months or 3 months, but more globally on the medium and long term. I often refer to our division as the lab, where it's where it's all about to clear obstacles, to overcoming operational restrictions, challenging established thinking, stimulating thinking and ideas, pushing people forwards, time to time, taking calculated risks, and the aim is to disrupt what's perceived as normal, to change things, okay. and to keep loading and shipping ever larger, wider, ever cargoes, and to keep containerizing project cargoes.
Yeah. Now you certainly have the capacity. I recall vividly one video I saw. I think it was made in Rotterdam. You loaded a huge. I can't now remember the dimensions, but a huge thing for an oil rig or top module or something like that for Asia in Rotterdam. I couldn't believe that you actually could load it on a container ship. So I think seeing is believing, and you have managed to really move some very impressive projects. So well done, I should say, from here. How do you see the future? You continue in the same way, developing as you do. You have your regional offices. So let's say I'm a customer sitting in Japan, right? I have a project going out of China to Middle East. Where would I ask? Would I first go to the local agency, or would I go to your regional centers? What is the normal policy there?
Yeah, just Bo, before replying to that question, yeah. you were referring to the basically to the EV species that we have shipped. It was a rock dumping unit for the subsea sector.
Wow.
And it was weighted 457 tons, 457 tons. And the dimension were 30 meters long, 11 meters wide, 20 meters high.
That's the one, yes.
Yeah. And it was from, yes, as you mentioned, from Rotterdam to Singapore, using floating cranes at both ends. And maybe the people will be able to see the video, but on the YouTube, if you Google CMS CGM loading 450 rock dumping unit, you will be able to retrieve it.
That's incredible. I can tell my viewers, and Stefan is not giving me any commission for saying this, but I can say to all my viewers, do find it on YouTube. I think we may be able to add a link to it somewhere in this interview.
Yes, but to reply to your question, yes, we are having the pricing for some trades in the head office, and we have also the delegation pricing in various regional offices in Asia, in Dubai, in US, in Sao Paulo. Mm-hmm. So if basically if a customer is sending us an inquiry in Japan, most probably it will reach out our regional offices in Asia, and we have 2 desks in Asia, in Shanghai and in Singapore. So they will be the very first handling the inquiries.
Okay, that's clear, because you know yourself, you're sitting inside the huge organization. You can scroll on your computer and find the people, but for people coming outside, they may be a little bit afraid. They don't know where to start, you know. And in a global world, you may sit in Japan, but the cargo is coming from China and going to the Middle East. So it's a little bit, it's not like from here to there like before.
Yeah, no, rightfully. But fortunately, again, we do have at least we have a centralized organization. So basically, the inquiry should reach at the easiest someone from our organization, and then once it reaches someone from our organization, it will be easy to dispatch to the proper manager in charge. Yeah.
Okay, and you have is there pricing centralized so that Marseille must do every pricing, or does the regional centers have a certain amount of power to decide on the spot? If, for example, if you need an urgent indication, you know, sometimes time is money. The forwarder calls you, we need an indication for this. What's the rough cost? They would have some power to do that.
Yes, they have a pricing delegation. Asia, basically, they are pricing export from Asia to Africa, to Latin America, to US. Our office in Dubai, they are pricing from Middle East to East Africa, to Asia, to Europe. So basically it's by region. And so they are very close to their market. They are very close to the customers. So they have pricing delegation. For each break bulk inquiries, a dedicated project cargo manager acts as a single entry point, delivery the customers with consulting, planning, budgetary, and after supervising the project execution.
Okay.
And all, even for the regional office have that pricing delegation, they all worked with the same standards, and they report to the head office for alignment and to ensure a proper transversal views of the results, of the customer's approach, on the sales vision, on the technical expertise. This is the, let's say, the strength of having a dedicated department.
Okay, that's I'm very happy to hear that. So that we avoid ending up in a big bureaucracy, and it sounds very good to me. No, it's Stefan, as I can say and mentioned again earlier, that you have a good name in the market. I'm happy that also you take your time. I know how busy you are. I mean, with how many 530 vessels, and somebody needs to fill up these vessels, so you have enough work on your plate, I'm sure, right?
Fortunately, we are not alone, but yes. Ourselves, I will say that it is the cherry on the cake, ourselves, in CMA CGM world.
Yeah, but it's very good. And look, I want to say lastly here, many thanks to you, Stefan, for volunteering for this interview, and I'm honored to have you here, and we will now, let's say, stop the recording, but formally I will say many thanks for being here.
Thanks to you, Bo. It has been a pleasure, and it is a pleasure again. Thanks for the opportunity. May I end the interview by posting a question myself? Or it's an open question. It's not. I'm not waiting for a reply from you, but it's for your Project Cargo network, for the customers and all the listeners, because it's a case that happen regularly. It's how do you handle shipment of wooden crates? Is the forwarder involved in the packing, in the stuffing, crating and lashing, or is he only receiving the wooden crate as such and proceeding with the lashing on the flat rack in case of OG?
That's a good question. I mean, some shippers, of course, they simply do the crating and so on themselves. But you do have in our network that I'm chairman of, you have a couple of forwarders. They have packing as their specialty, so they pick up the raw machine from the shipper and they do the crating at their facility. So both are possible. But I would say, at least if you say the small and medium-sized shippers, most of them would accept the wooden crate packed from the shipper, because they have certain standards that they have to adhere to, and otherwise you need very professional packing skills, because otherwise it may be stopped in port or it may not be accepted on board. So most of the time the shippers will do, as far as I understand, the packing, the wooden crating and so on themselves. But some are doing it as part of an additional service, and of course there is no free lunch, so they will be able to earn a bit on that too. So
yeah, but regularly the manufacturer are also doing their own packing and stuffing, and it might appear that it's not necessarily done to sustain maritime transportation, maybe road transportation, and then in such a case, in fact, all the people in the logistic chain relies on such packing and stuffing, but nobody is looking inside until that something wrong happened. And
yes, and that's of course the fact. You cannot see from the outside whether it's properly done on the inside.
Exactly.
I mean, there should be some kind of responsibility in place there. There has been some scandals, and then the shippers say, "Oh, it's not our fault," and they blame the forwarder, who then blame the ship owner. It's like a little bit of a blame game. I think there's most shippers are normally professional, and they don't want any bad, let's say, reputation. But there are some that, of course, save a bit here, save a bit there. even some shippers, they misdeclare the cargo, as we've seen, especially out of China, with some disastrous consequences, including fires. So there are some places where cleanup is needed, both from the shippers and also the forwarders, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's an ever ongoing process, Stefan, where we have to stick together simply. Yeah. But listen, thanks again, Stefan. And now I feel how it is to be the interviewee. I'm getting almost scared here, you know. So anyway, it's good for me to try to sit in the hot seat, you know.
Yeah.
But I will say many thanks again, and to all our listeners, readers, and viewers around the world. This was an exclusive interview with Mr. Stefan Berninet, head of OOG and Project Cargo at the CMA CGM Global Headquarters in Marseille, France. And stay tuned for other interviews in the future. Thank you.